Even with the comfort of a dog, imagine if you didn't have the comfort of a dog, how bad it would be.
Oh, bad news for the whole world. Yeah.
You could have been an ad man, Skyler. You could have been an ad man. You get a lot of money, and all you have to do is sell your soul. Good morning.
Good morning to you. And we're going to talk about fireworks within the 4th of July. Sounds like you have a little something. You did a parade on the 4th of July.
I did.
This guy right here is not as traumatized by fireworks because we've had him really early, but he's in the scene because he's worth mentioning because a farmer, he was rescued from an overbreeding farmer in the Central Valley. And it just reminds me of the mentality of these people. Animals are theirs to enslave and make money off of. The earth is theirs to exploit and make money off of. And they just objectify everything. And I saw some people in a photo you sent me of your parade using the signs that show a dog next to a cow, treat them equally. I'm like, well, I got bad news for you. A lot of people do, and it's equally shitty. Now, this one, our more recent rescue, is an absolute hell with fireworks.
Does this one have a name for our viewers, sir?
Oh, this is Willow.
Thank you. Just to let people know it's Willow.
She was very abused by humans in the short period of time of life before we had the opportunity to rescue her. But noises and smoke and fire were a part of that childhood, and we had a tough week of people lighting fireworks.
I have more than one friend whose dog would hide in the bathtub for thunderstorms, let alone fireworks, which are, continual shows. Yeah.
And I just got to thinking what simpletons we humans are to continue doing something that there's more and more information about how bad fireworks are, how damaging fireworks are, the amount of money we spend on fireworks, but just like the thousands of dogs every single year are lost because they ran away. And guess what the human was doing? Like, it's bad enough that the human is so easily amused by pretty lights and loud noises, but they leave the animal that's going to suffer the most at home so they can go and enjoy that stupid, trivial form of entertainment. Not that taking the dog to the fireworks show would be good, but like, you're responsible for a living creature. Maybe stay home and comfort it. Maybe do something to reduce the suffering, not leave it alone in additional confusion to the point where they actually run away. Like every single year. Happens again and again and again. And thousands of wildlife die every single year. My girlfriend is reading some stats to me that are too staggering to even share with you people because you'll be very upset by it. But the different species that die, the birds that are displaced in the middle of the night and just go running into things. And
you mean from fireworks displays specifically?
Yeah, from fireworks displays.
Wow. Yeah, I grew up in Manhattan. We also went to country places, and I did a lot of fireworks in, Westchester County community, which is kind of like a Marin County. And never once as a kid thought about the effect of, 45 minutes of loud noise from 8:45 p.m. to about 9:30 at night. Right next to it, this is in Leonard Park in Mount Kisco for people who know Westchester County. And, there's woods all around the place. Never even thought about it as a child. It's just, this is fun and this is what you do. And it comes down to the vegan tension we feel of this is our culture, this is our tradition, culture from your opening there. Maybe we should just do a laser light show instead. Do we still need to be exploding things and doing air pollution and noise pollution? Well, no, come on, that's tradition. You vegans, darn you, leave it alone.
I mean, tradition and history.
Yeah.
Excuses used to continue doing some really dumb shit.
Hey, importantly, speaking of important shit, don't you think my blue shirt plays off my blue eye? Just noticed.
That is important. That's
Thank
important.
You. Okay, we're done with the show now. Thanks everyone for joining.
Hello to Ray Cooper, who was first in the chat, and you greeted him already. Lynn Klein, hi, Lynn. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Lynn. Thank you.
There's you again. Oh, look at you interacting with everybody. Good for you, Jack. Ray Cooper. And Leah, thank you, Skyler. Dogs overall are not respected. The sign was on speciesism, making the point there's no difference between a cow and a dog in all the ways that matter. Yeah, I get it. The sign, there's nothing wrong with the sign, but there's a darker truth to it that a lot of people, even if you get them to acknowledge that they're the same, well, they were already treating even dogs shitty. And a lot of those people that treat farm animals shitty are the same people that raise dogs as a side profit. That won't stop them from posing with a dog in their photos to let you know that they're people of the earth and good old Americans. Hey, I have a dog, and my dog goes out into the field to observe all the other animals that I'm raising for slaughter.
And they love their cows, pigs, and chickens. They have to because, they need to take care of them so they can earn their living by killing them as children. Yeah. So where would you like to start, sir? We do have a little bit of a 4th of July theme. I'm glad Leah is here. She was with me. We co-produced our 4th of July parade, and a little bit later, another 5 or 10 minutes, letting people come in. I do want to show, I got about, 2.5 minutes of footage from the parade in Marin County, which is an interesting story. And Leah might have comments as well. But I do have a little, you asked me to do if I could find a funny clip, and I found this current 4th of July related theme. This is from Larry David, his new show, Life, Larry, and of course, him being the nebbish he is, The Pursuit of Unhappiness. That's the name of his show. And this is somebody else. Jerry B's showed this clip, so maybe we'll get away with showing the clip. I have no idea how this works, whether it gets pulled off YouTube. Shall I?
Let's do it.
Okay. So it's just a couple minutes, and there's a cameo in here. Actually, 2 cameos. We'll talk.
See who makes a cameo.
Fellow citizens, I stand before you today as your president to announce that I shall not be seeking a 3rd term.
The country needs you.
No, in order to ensure the success of our fledgling democracy, I believe that no man should serve more than 2 terms as president. And I hope that future presidents will follow my lead.
What if some future president doesn't follow your lead and wants to third term?
That Congress can pass a constitutional amendment that would prohibit that.
Well, what if there's some asshole in office, who doesn't follow the Constitution?
I can't even fathom the existence of such men. But to further ensure the success of this grand experiment, I would suggest that after every presidential election, there be a peaceful transfer of power.
Yes.
Where the loser accepts the results of the election and full-throatedly endorses the victor.
Anyone who would accept the results of a free and fair election is a sociopath.
A madman.
A man like that can even foment an insurrection rather than just admit that he lost. At universities, even the free press, silencing anyone who dares to criticize him.
Ah, come on. That could never happen.
That's what you think.
Are you suggesting that the president would take the time to challenge anyone who dare make fun of him as if he were a big baby?
A big baby.
For an asshole like that is the end of our democracy.
Right.
You
We're fucked.
Do you know who the face that is there portraying George Washington?
No.
That's Rob Reiner.
Oh, really?
But Rob Reiner is dead. So that's AI Rob Reiner. And I'm sure Larry and the gang were sitting here saying, yeah, no, he'd love it. This is great. So let's use him. Put in AI Rob Reiner, who is deceased. He's a little thin here in this picture. You see, that's how you know it's AI. Also, he's very dead.
That's another indicator.
It's another indicator.
Another person who Trump took the opportunity to show what a disgusting pile of shit he is.
So put us back on while I change stage here. Thank you, sir. I've got one other thing I want to cue, but take it away while I'm doing that. Before we get, yeah.
I'll throw up another positive image.
I'm sorry. What will you throw up? Oh wow!
Shatters the protein myth on his way to Mr. Olympia.
Jesus, because he's rather fit and cut, I've got to ask, like he's half the size of a Schwarzenegger, so I assume that's actually not steroids, but I don't know the bodybuilding scene. And there's a vegan bodybuilder out of San Francisco Vegan Society. I don't want to use his name to be respectful, but I should ask him. He would know about this guy, I assume.
That dude is 51, right? Are you talking about me or the bodybuilder? If he's 51, that's even crazier.
Wow.
And removes my excuses.
Well, it is gym time. I know there's that involved. You can't just will it. Wilborn says Tori Washington is a great vegan animal rights activist too. I assume that's who that is. She knows who that is. Tori, T-O-R-R-E, yes. Tori Washington?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yes,
and
the
Ben
bodybuilder.
said, yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Wow.
Morning, Ben. Thank you. What a sharp audience we have. They're on top of it all. Okay, so that is the Lark Theater in the town of Larkspur. And I just, again, shout out to all the people in this photograph. And it's about 2 minutes of footage. I just grabbed some clips and threw them together till 3 a.m. last night in time for the show. Oh, God. So this is the annual Marin County Parade. And we agonized over this sign and how far we should go, because you don't have a chance if you razz the audience and say something truthful like all mother cows and their babies are killed in the dairy industry. People would be upset. As far as I could see, we were the only activists in this entire parade of 100 entries or 50 entries. We passed thousands of people, and we weren't sure what reaction we would get, but you're going to see in just a moment. So San Francisco Vegan Society helped us pull in people from all over the Bay Area, from as far away as Fort Bragg, Oakland, Walnut Creek, Berkeley to the east, San Francisco to the south. Kathy came up down from Occidental. It was really a wonderful group, about 30 people, not all visible in any one shot. But without further ado, this was our experience. Pause it for a moment to see if that helps with the music break. Yeah, I don't know, Skyler. I don't know what to say about that. It is off a soundtrack, but yeah, okay. I mean, at least our audience will see it. Yeah.
That was already way too long.
Yeah, I know. Shout out for In Defense of Animals. They sponsored this. Leah and I co-produced, both working for In Defense of Animals. You can take that off. Thank you, sir. And, paid for the banner. And it was, that I think Leah will have an opinion, but I think that'll capture the spirit of it. It was, everyone's upbeat and all that, and we hand out literature. The literature wasn't compromised. That was saying the real truth about how, horribly brutal the dairy industry is. But, we had big discussions about how much do we interact with people and what should the sign say, and all the backstory on vegan activism. But beautiful day, and thousands of people got our message. And again, thanks to In Defense of Animals and San Francisco Vegan Society for helping us get out there, and the 30 incredible people that showed up to spend their day doing that, at least the first half of the day.
Look at you guys putting a damper on everybody's 4th of July with the truth.
Can't we just have fun? Can't we just play? Do we have to get into the whole, stop torturing animals every day at your barbecue right after this parade? Come on, guys. Would you be reasonable?
The respect all mothers sign makes me think about, we're not even doing that within our own species already. We got a big hurdle to jump.
Yeah. Well, that was, I think, Will Tuttle, vegan activist, the first one to put it in our head that if we don't stop doing what we do to animals, we also won't be peaceful among ourselves. That the violence we inflict on the other species is related to the violence sometimes I think of a Netflix, what's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or with streaming stuff, and so much of it is violent. And I grew up with it, and it's normal. You watch, I don't know, Tom Cruise or Tom Hank, as Jiminy Glick calls him, and it's just, these are violent movies, people beating the crap out of each other, or cop procedurals. It's violence. That's the normal part of our culture. You don't even see it. It's so normal, right?
Randall comes to that conclusion toward the latter part of the book about You know, we're not treating it's a pathway. If you can make an excuse to treat something badly, you can make another excuse to treat something else badly, and on until you're treating, you know, your own kin badly.
Yeah.
And veganism is really an awakening. You just start asking. It might be as simple as asking questions. When you have one revelation, you're like, oh, well, shit, that wasn't true. What else isn't true?
As saying from a what was not Larry Sanders show, there was a line in there Rip Torn speaks, which is, oh, don't go pulling on that thread, Larry. The whole universe will come unraveled. So to use your word, an awakening, once you like question, wow, all the foods I ate, or a vast majority of them are animal products. Once you start questioning that, I think it's really much easier, as you were suggesting, to question all our assumptions, which is no easy thing to do.
And what comes along with that when you actually stop and consider the victim and see the victim as an individual rather than a commodity, as we've been raised to think? Not only what they go through, but also what they do, their value. For example, let's move away from animal agriculture and the victims that are there and look at plant life and think, oh, the purpose of this plant and what it does and what organism requires that plant and what organism requires the organism that required that organism, and the incredible, beautiful network of purpose that unfolds if we humans ever stop to appreciate what was bestowed upon us for free, instead of thinking it's our duty to destroy these gifts.
Yeah, and extract it. Well, I feel like Native American pops in my head, where you look at, you know, God's creation, or for me, nature's creation, and go, okay, I need to take that shit and turn it into money so I can get some food and eat and get clothing and pay for my rent or my mortgage. Like, you just don't even see, you know, the virtual Garden of Eden that we're living in.
Were there some sad and guilty looking people, as Ray suggests?
You know, interesting. Eye of the beholder. I'd be curious what Leah thinks about that. She's usually more comfortable with direct confrontation, meaning point out people's hypocrisies, where I'm, yeah, you know, it's funny for you, but it's tricky, you know, in what setting is it appropriate? It's not an anonymous for the voiceless demonstration. I didn't see a lot of that, but, you know, I had my happy demeanor. So it sort of light gets light. Like, if you look at people and say, hey, you shouldn't be smiling, you see what we're doing to this cow, put down that milkshake or ice cream, you're going to get a different reaction. So, you know, eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah, eye of the beholder, indeed.
So is that a happy place where nice, you know, people in Marin were out enjoying, or is it a festival of animal torturers? Both. It's both. It's yes. It's everything.
Well, the second requires you to be unaware of reality. And there's another reason that I get upset with the human race, because we spend most of the time telling ourselves how superior and intelligent we are, but we have to actually live in a false reality in which our brains are turned off just to enjoy things like hot dogs and ice cream and everything else that was advertised on that sign.
Well, if you want to go a moment, Marin County woo-woo deeper, you know, the nature of reality, well, you know, do you feel at the moment, as I do not, that you're a multidimensional being having a human experience at this moment, but you're aware of your past lives and where you're going next and the mystery of the universe, and you're in awe and bliss and joy at this moment because you have that deep awareness? I don't. You know? So how deep you want to go? I know Corinne, if she's out there, knows what I'm talking about. And Leah too, because she read that book or was at that yoga class.
Oh, by the way, everyone, Randall is coming back on tomorrow. And
Randall Plunkett, the Lord of Dunsany, or Lord Dunsany.
Yes, our guest from last Tuesday. And we're going to dive into specifics. Try and keep the show down to one topic. And I'm going to ask him specifics about the deer that began managing and specifically targeting certain things, and how Earth communicated this task to the deer, if in fact that is what happened.
You mentioned something about that, so stop me if I'm giving anything away, but it was, for many of us, it's like deer can be considered a problem because they come into our yards or our backyards or our gardens and start eating the young trees. Like, how do you protect young trees from surviving? So he gets into all that when he was rewilding, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. Cool. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, July 8th at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's at the same time.
Okay. Cool. Be there or be square.
I told Jack that before it slips out of memory, yet again, the most sustainable industry, or least sustainable industry, but proclaimed as sustainable industry, dairy, received another $1 million. Some of the ranchers leaving Point Reyes received an additional $1 million to start more dairies elsewhere. People, dairies can't survive anymore without getting more government money and stealing what little water we have left. Environmentalists didn't shut down dairies. Nature and the fact that it's an unsustainable business shut down dairies. And we keep dumping money into something that shouldn't happen. And this was in the Marin Independent Journal. And let me show you two images really quick. This is the photo that was shown. And it did say it's Pierce Point Road. Very familiar scene to me. But this is what it actually looks like.
Wow. The difference being there seems to be less grass in this picture, because this is what time of year, Skyler?
This might be September.
I have a question for you, sir. Being a monitor of journalism, how is it that pretty much every picture you see from the dairy industry and in the newspapers that cover the dairy industry, they always show the green grass 4 months of the year, not the bare dirt 6 months of the year? Why is that?
Yeah. I guess so you can believe in grass-fed and that they don't trample the earth into nothing.
But aren't these organic, small historic family farms out of Point Reyes Seashore in this dirt or beaten down dirt lot? I don't understand.
They are. Point Reyes National Seashore is the ultimate evidence that we could ever need to show that it doesn't work, because it's supposed to be the poster child of agriculture. And
but at least
it screams failure.
But at least they make money, and they're supporting these hardworking poor families, right? All who work with the sweat in their brow, with the I was going to say the fruit of their loins, stewards of the land, or fruit of the loom.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's go back to this first image. You're right. I guess there is some blurry green back there, which means they took this in late January or February. But you can already see the line down below.
Yep.
It turns brown immediately. It's trampled to shit no matter what time of year it is. You just have hints of green, and then eventually nothing. But good old Dave Evans is making sure this doesn't turn into bramble and brush, because God forbid.
I still think that's a great country music song, Bramble and Brush.
What did I start that 2 months ago, and I left it. I got to come back to it.
But I don't understand. This is regenerative ranching. There are only a few hundred cows on a couple thousand acres, public land, of course. And don't they aren't these guys like moving around, as the Nature Conservancy is now saying, stimulating grass growth? Why are you laughing? To generate grass carbon sequestration?
You're
right?
Looking at the regeneration, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like this was a 1-year experiment. This is what ranching in the seashore historically looks like, period. And the only thing that gets regenerated is shit coming out of the cows' asses and the weeds that grow thanks to the cows and the ranchers.
So you remind me to ask you, did you see the bit about, I think it was the Marin Independent Journal. I thought that's where you were going with this, about the Marin County Civil Grand Jury Report on Measure A funding?
Oh, I should have included that. I saw it this morning as I was pulling this up.
If only there were two of us hardworking vegan activists who are on the Point Reyes issue, Skyler, that would support. Oh, there it is.
Look at this.
Look at that.
Really quick. Let me shout out Ray for participating in the chats. And yes, Ray, the biodiversity credits are better than gold. The book has given me so many topics to talk about that it's going to be an exercise in my patience in waiting for each episode to go through each subtopic that I've written down, because just the notes that I've taken that I want to talk about is the prologue of a book in itself. So we're going to be patient. Ray says he wants to come on a lot. We're going to cover it all. We're going to cover it all in depth. And yes, we will get to the biodiversity credits. Jack, take away. Well done, sir.
So Marin County Civil Grand Jury, it's an independent body that actually is independent. I know more than I can say. This was released recently, June 30th. You see the date there. And this was about, for folks who don't know, and the reason we do this, we're always talking locally, but this stuff always augurs into the global. So there's as it says here, Measure A voter-approved quarter-cent sales tax, taxing the people, has become one of Marin County's most important source of funding for parks, open space, and, watch this, sustainable agriculture. What does that mean? Sustainable blink, 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 blink. What the heck is sustainable agriculture? Well, that's code word for whatever you want it to mean. In this case, the dairies that Skyler just showed a picture of out at Point Reyes. That is included. Today,
and
Measure A...
That's a lie. Is that
well, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lie in the first sentence. It is not sustainable.
Well, that's what we call an oxymoron.
If I'm correct, the vast majority of it goes to the agriculture, and only a little bit ends up going to the parks and open space.
No. So I think they get into that here. Today, Measure A provides approximately half of Marin County Parks funding, and the department would look fundamentally different without it. In this report, we reached two conclusions regarding the future. So what I love about these guys, unlike me, with my blunderbuss emotionality, this is very thorough, very meticulous, plotting, and precise. It feels neutral just because of the level of detail, which I can be accused of not always utilizing. So first conclusion, this is, I don't know, 12 pages, something like that, but I'm just doing some of it. Marin County Parks should receive greater flexibility and authority over the use of Measure A funds. Interviews, public reports, and documents reviewed during this investigation demonstrated that Marin County Parks has administered these funds successfully and enjoys broad public confidence. So the Measure A tax money, which is millions of dollars, and I don't at the top of my head know how many millions, goes to Marin County Parks, and their report says people are happy with that. That was the purpose of the tax. What are they unhappy about? However, the structure of Measure A reflects priorities from when it was first adopted in 2012, its renewal 10 years later, 2022, while retaining allocation formulas that limit flexibility over time. Over the past 14 years, Marin County Parks has shifted focus away from land acquisition and expansion and towards stewardship, maintenance, and wildfire resilience. What does that mean? So the current structure of the measure, which reserves a fixed 15% for distribution, let's see. The structure of splitting resources into small slices of funds may prevent county parks from pursuing larger countywide objectives that could benefit multiple communities. So, second most important point, future Measure A renewals should allow voters to consider sustainable agriculture, there's that buzzword, separately from parks and open space funding. So that's the big thing here, and it goes into it in some detail. This is not going to be more than a few minutes, but these programs include paying landowners for conservation easements, stewardship, and infrastructure work on their private land, and food system grants, an initiative for small nonprofits. These programs serve different purposes, benefit different constituencies, and reflect distinct policy choices. So the need for conservation easements has been reduced because marine agricultural land's already covered. So it was set up to help these farmers. Now they're just taking the money. And people don't know this. So here's the important point. Marin County voters have repeatedly demonstrated strong support for parks and open space, but the grand jury found no evidence for a comparable voter mandate regarding the appropriate level of funding for agricultural conservation easements, for stewardship activities, that means ranching, on private lands, which is what the park, well, that's off of actually outside of Point Reyes Seashore. They're still getting money. And whoopsie, sorry, geez. Agricultural infrastructure projects or community-based food and environmental programs. So public debate surrounding Marin's easements, ag easements, has continued for years. And since 2022, a renewal debate demonstrated that some residents supported continued parks funding while expressing different views regarding these other expenditures, meaning break it out. And people have said, just make it two different measures. One is, measure P for parks, and Measure F for farming, if you want to call it that, or R for ranching. And then you'd know what you're paying for. But this is the pork barrel stuff where people are taxed. It goes to Measure A for parks and sustainable agriculture, whatever that means, which means ranching, which isn't sustainable. And it fools the public. So as we're always harping on and on about, just about to finish Jack's tirade, my tirade, which is taking money from the general public to give millionaire landholders in the seashore and in Marin County in general, who are doing quite well, especially if they stop ranching. They have tons of money, but they want to continue with their hobby and have the people pay for it, just like is going on right now on a federal level across this nation.
Wow. We're on the same wavelength, because I was thinking of the theme, the haves and the have-nots, and the ranchers represent the haves. The rest of us are the have-nots. The earth is the have-nots. They are a reflection of the Trump administration, creating the bigger gap. And, you know, these conservation easements that it talks about were awarded, like Malt.
Marin Agricultural Land Trust. Yeah.
Got money from Measure A, did they not?
I think so, but I want to be precise. I'm pretty sure they get some as well. I think they get money directly from Measure A as well, because they're helping with this so-called sustainable agriculture, which is unsustainable agriculture.
Yeah.
And they pull in their own money too. Sorry, go ahead.
Does anyone have a problem with the fact that the conservation easements are millions of dollars to encourage ranchers to continue ranching, and after they receive that money, they sell their ranches anyway? And for millions of dollars? Like, no one has a problem with that? And the word stewardship, like the stewards of the land, as we always make fun of, even the word stewardship is, well, if we're thinking about agriculture, that's code for rapists and destruction.
Ecological destruction and screwing the public. Yeah, taking their money to do more of their brutal industry that pollutes the planet and does the county. I was talking with Ray Cooper about this, because he just bought a piece of property. I think that's okay to say, Ray, let me know if it's not, in Ireland, and wants to kind of follow Randall's model of rewilding some of it. But, you know, how do you make the land pay? If you've got to pay taxes on the land, you have to have that land arguably generate income in some way. We talked again about, Ray and I, about Point Reyes, about tourism. Certainly in Point Reyes Seashore, that's bringing people from all over the country to visit the San Francisco Bay Area and the city of San Francisco, and then they can go to Point Reyes an hour away and stay at a bed and breakfast, buy lunch, buy dinner at an inn, spend money in the grocery store. That brings in far more money than the supposed, you know, local farmer who's contributing to the economy.
You know, you just made me realize, I never thought about this somehow. Wasn't anyone in Inverness or Point Reyes disturbed by the push by the ranchers to use the housing that they have out there, that we pay for, by the way, that we, the taxpayers, pay for all the housing that houses their workers that don't get paid anything because the housing is included in the negotiation. But they were pushing to get to do tours and have Airbnbs on the property that they don't own and that we are funding. But I just realized, wow, that also would take away from businesses in Inverness and Point Reyes Station if the ranchers themselves get to have Airbnbs on their property in the park.
So I think that's a great idea. I have full throat. Well, I need to think about it more, but it sounds like a great idea. Let's put it that way, that the workers who were displaced from the ranches, who have become part of the community and send their kids to the local schools, basically Mexican immigrants, right? And I support immigration in this country. It's what makes this country the great and unique country it is. They should absolutely have jobs stewarding the private ranch lands outside the national park of Point Reyes. All the Marin County private properties where these folks, you know, like Kevin Lunny and all these other local ranchers we know, they should employ these people on their land and bring in ecotourism or bring in tourism or give tours or whatever they want to do, but on the private property. And then they should be paid well, as opposed to having the federal taxpayer, you know, in Boise, Idaho, comes to the seashore once every 2 years, have federal dollars supporting the ranchers who are pulling it off and putting it in their pocket. The Trump administration.
Yeah, just like Trump. Yeah, just like Trump.
we both go there automatically. I mean, this is why it's so interesting.
They're using federal funds to create wealth for themselves.
Yeah, which is exactly what the Point Reyes ranchers are doing, using federal funds to siphon off money for themselves and keep a dying, brutal business afloat.
In this article from the Marin Independent Journal, which we know is not very independent at all, it's talking about this extra $1 million. And I talked about the haves and the have-nots. The Spoletas are one of the people who are receiving this money. The Spoletas, at the time that they still had Sea Ranch inside of Point Reyes National Seashore, had 5 massive land parcels in Marin County in addition, and have a factory farm in Sonoma County. But hey, let's help them out. They better start a new dairy. What do we do without another dairy destroying Marin and Sonoma counties?
Yeah, well, back to your use of the word awakening. When you have an awakening with the whole animal agriculture, which is animal, I prefer, I guess, animal farming. It's more specific because farming is a happy thing and it's about animals. Once you start looking behind the veil, I mean, just the whole thing collapses. I don't know where to begin. It's overwhelming, meaning it's brutal, destroys the land, and there's graft and corruption and stealing money from the public coffers to create wealth for people who already have a fair amount of wealth to begin with. It's just every reason in the world to not participate in that by just getting different products at the grocery store. Grab for the oat milk, not the dairy milk. So simple.
Yep.
As a start. That's just a start. As Leah's always, her voice, Leah, your voice is in my head. It's like veganism is not a diet. It's not just a diet. It's understanding animals are not here on planet Earth for us to use as we please, which usually means brutalize.
It's amazing our devotion to continue doing something that not only do we not need and isn't good for us, but ensures cruelty and planetary destruction. We're an innovative species. We are capable of a lot of things, but we don't use it very wisely. For example, this is yet another.
Let me see your. Okay, great. I was going to say take it off if we're not talking about it. Beautiful.
I thought it was bad enough the masks.
Wow.
That they're putting on them. Now they're trying to vaccinate cows so they release less methane. Just fucking stop with the source of the problem. Move on.
Wow.
You mind reading?
Not at all. Scientists are trying to vaccinate cows so they release less methane. That may sound like progress, but it should set off alarm bells for anyone who cares about animals, wildlife, and the future of our planet. Because industrial meat production, already right there, that means, and it's not even industrial, it's called raising cows for human consumption,
right,
is already one of the biggest drivers of animal suffering in the world. I think it's the biggest driver because there's more cows and there are more farmed animals than there are not farmed animals.
I don't think there's a question.
Yeah.
So it is the
right. And this process confines sentient animals in massive numbers, fuels the expansion of factory farming. I take out the word farming, the expansion of farming. Factory, anyway, pollutes waterways, destroys habitat, and helps drive the climate crisis that threatens wildlife everywhere. It doesn't threaten, it's really destroyed wildlife.
They didn't need to say factory farming either, especially if you're going to say destroys habitat, because another thing that the Trump administration is doing is giving to these millionaire ranchers even more land. The BLM is basically just an extension of ranching wishes, and it destroys habitat. And that's not factory farming, but everything that is used for agriculture is not nature, particularly animal agriculture. That's destroying habitat.
And habitat that should be, for your guest show topic tomorrow, rewilded. Get the tortured animals off it and let wild animals come back. And I know Randall Little, you've had more conversation with him, and so has Ray. He talks all about that the animals came back. I remember one in his TED talk, he talks about his dad said, one disadvantage of our doing the animal farming is the wild animals are gone. Okay, continuing now, instead of confronting the scale of the problem, researchers and policymakers are looking for ways to make the current system seem a little less destructive. That is not a real solution. A quote unquote climate vaccine for cows. Oh my God, we are insane. Does nothing to address the billions of animals trapped in agriculture. Wow. It's like we're going to build a dam outside the Golden Gate to stop the rising ocean levels rather than stop rising the ocean levels.
Right.
We'll just hold the water back. Oh God, what a metaphor. This does nothing. A climate vaccine, sticking cows to make them produce less methane, does nothing to stop forests and grasslands from being cleared for grazing and feed, meaning crops that feed the grazing cows. This does nothing to protect rivers from manure pollution or wild animals from losing the habitat they need to survive. Yeah. They're not even, well, they are continually losing it, but they've already lost so much. I mean, we really need, for me, it's not enough to just stop, logging the Amazon for more pasture. We really need to actively rewild. Actively, it's funny. We humans don't need to, I'm always focused on this. We need to stop doing the killing. Just stop the destruction. That would be plenty. I mean, that's such a phenomenal, well, to use your word again, awakening. Like, wow, we've destroyed everything. Let's stop destroying it and let it, as Randall is doing with his 750 acres experiment, let it grow back and let nature do her job. Not even her job. Let nature be nature. Growth, life.
Let nature be nature. Seems like a reasonable request, but it's too much for us to allow.
Well, you vegans don't get it. Humans are part of nature. Yes, we are. We just don't act like it. Sorry.
No, I actually not so sure that we are, or at least not the current version of ourselves. Let me read this from the Marin Independent Journal article. The McClellans, Joylyn and Robert McClellan, which, by the way, is...
Wait a second. This is not on the screen, right?
It's not. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Just take this off the screen. Otherwise, I'm trying to find what you're reading. I want to see you read, baby. Go for it.
Everybody watched me read. Oh, shit. I'm under pressure. The McClellans, by the way, is really the Mendoza family. A lot of these families married each other, and so it's all the same dynasties out there. The McClellans, Joylyn wrote a complete bullshit propaganda piece a few years ago that the Point Reyes Light published without question while they were vetting my hard researched facts, and let her lie through her teeth and published it. Anyway, that's the McClellans, which a lot of their shithole abused land appeared in my videos going out there with Laura Cunningham. And here's what they're going to do. They requested $460,000 to construct a loafing barn, $290,000 to build a compost barn, and $200,000 to buy a manure spreader. People, if you didn't have a dumb fucking industry, you wouldn't need to spend money on these dumb things. They're a part of that stupid, unsustainable industry. A loafing barn, a hay barn, things that... Jack, do you need a loafing barn or a hay barn if you're growing carrots?
I'm sorry, is it for me to like set up a TV and a Barca lounger, or for the cows, you're saying? I wouldn't mind. I like loafing plenty, but I don't need a barn for it. No, sir. I actually just sit out in a forest with no cover. It's my favorite.
Manure spreader. Isn't it funny how nature doesn't need a manure spreader?
Nature doesn't need masticating machines and chainsaws in the forest to make it wildfire resilient. It makes me, I do often, it's one of our themes, but how is it that nature survived without us humans doing all this caretaking and stewarding? Or did it?
Oh, hey, if anyone wants to go harass a ranching family, am I allowed to say that? We have the Kehoe Ranch's
no, you're not.
Provided.
No, you're not. So Honest Doubter says, just another pharmaceutical product marketed as a savior. Exactly. Honest Doubter was also in Marin County. He knows what's going on around here as well. Goodness gracious. We finally reached the end of the Skyjack podcast.
Well, the Niemans, in case you're curious, Nicolette Hahn Niemann was another one who's receiving this money, and as you know, ran against Huffman.
Oh, by the way, funny little story. God, we should have Leah on. Huffman turned out to be at the Marin County parade.
Yeah. And
about at Larkspur? No, in Corte Madera, the next town over. Look, he's behind us. He's in the vehicle behind us, and we stopped. And Lee and I were like, oh my God, we're activists. We're in defense of animals, wants to get footage of celebrities always. It's good. It plays in the media. So there he is. He's sitting right there with Damon Connolly in a convertible right behind us, 100 feet behind us. Let's run over and say what? He's trapped. He doesn't have the microphone in his hand. We do with our little cameras filming. Like, what do we do? And of course, it was Angel Devil, Jack Leah, Angel, which is which. I'm like, let me go see if I can pucker my lips up to his keister. And she's like, let's get him on, let's get him about animal agriculture. He supports so-and-so, so-and-so. So, gosh, maybe next show I will show the videos. She shot and I shot.
There,
rather different things.
I put the call-in link up just in case Leah is listening and available. Jack, I'll say it to your face. I saw the clip you put up of you asking Huffman a question at something. I don't know if you ever got around to the question. I turned the video off after the first 5 minutes of you kissing his ass. Like, I didn't even hear a question. I mean, you gave him some really, really thorough oral service.
Did you hear his response to what I said? And of course, my mic was cut.
I told you when I turned it off.
Well, so as my friend Richard does, because he's an interrupter like I am, we are both more interrupters than you are. You can't criticize something if you haven't seen it. So you saw part of it. It's like saying, I walked out of my father. I walked out of the movie. It's terrible. It's like, what's that?
It was bad enough to walk out.
It was fascinating with Huffman. What I did was, you say, ass kisser, fine. I would butter him up and said, thank you for evolving on the point raised issue. And then I got to my question later on, right? But like butter him up so this is a friendly, and he'll listen to what I say and answer me, presumably. He did something entirely unexpected. In front of the audience, he didn't answer my question. He set the record straight that his position at Point Reyes Ranching did not change. He didn't want to go on record as listening to me say, thanks for evolving, and realizing the ranchers should go. He didn't want that on record. He was debating that point. That's what he replied to, which I found so fascinating. He doesn't want this. So he was making revisionist history. Like, no, I've always been a supporter of ranchers because that's my constituency. And I interrupted his answer. I'm saying, yeah, but what about so-and-so? And you don't hear that because my mic is cut at that point. So that's why I relish getting access to him where there's no mic cutting. It's just me and him, and I'm filming. So I have control over what's going to get out to the media. So thank you for the insult, but it doesn't even apply because you didn't watch it. You got to watch the whole thing, and then you can give me your opinion, which is your opinion. That's fine. I can take it, buddy. Yeah, and you and Lee are more in the camp of you get access to these mofos, hold their feet to the fire, and I'm like always strategically thinking, get a gotcha on video. I mean that has value, and Leah will do that stuff more than I will, and I'll get something else, a working relationship with a congressman, so that I have access to the guy. And then one would ask, well, for what's the purpose if you're never going to challenge him hard, right? Yeah.
Well,
welcome to the world of activists, folks.
Oh, I had one other. Well, it's time's up. The kid that you sent me the clip of, so interesting. I'm like his ranting in the field.
Oh yeah, that's another.
Jesse, something.
It's another show. I need to watch more of him. I can't quite figure out. I think Leah. God, who sent me it? Leah. It was a forest activist who's, I don't know, whatever. He's 25. He's got a young energy about him, and he's cursing and chopping around. And it's like that's how you're supposed to do videos for the youth market. And to thine own self be true. And his heart's in the right place, and he's got a ton of energy, and he's filming his stuff and making these cool videos that are this pace, quick. I don't know about his information. I don't want to put him up before I sort of get a feel for what he believes about. I mean, he's going on invasive plants, but specifically which and where and what. And obviously he loves the forest. So interesting to watch the next generation do, in effect, a adrenaline-soaked version of what we're doing here.
Yeah, I've got terabytes of me doing what he did that I never published. But I thought one talking point alone between you and me was the fact that he freely uses the word invasive, and I don't think it's incorrect. But you really hate that word.
I really hate that word, and I would love to do. I mean, for me, it's a discussion. I want people to hear all sides of it and decide for themselves. But it's a human emotional word, and it's tricky because there are some plants we don't want that do damage to an ecosystem, no question. But I always, again, thinking strategically, if we popularize that word, industry, I was going to say, will take it and use it against us. They've already done that. I mean, that's how they sell their, to use Honest Doubter's point, another pharmaceutical product marketed as a savior of forest is to use. Oh, another topic for another day. This whole group of activists or citizen activists at Tamales Bay, which is also West Marin, about the forest project that I'm involved in a lawsuit to stop, the deforestation project by Cal Fire and Cal Parks, and they're just picking on the herbicides. Don't use herbicides that'll run into the bay, which are absolutely right. But they're not even talking about. I mean, that's just, as I say, the toxic icing on the cake of deforestation. They're not talking about the whole project is insane or the justification of the project is insane. They're just saying, don't use these toxic chemicals. So they'll use a different toxic chemical or they'll use something other than the chemical. They're not addressing the root cause. And I just haven't had the patience and the bandwidth to go chat with them. Obviously, they're real well-intentioned and I support what they're doing, but it won't solve anything. They'll just swap out glyphosate or Roundup or whatever the trade name is or the product is for another one. They'll use Dalgarlon, a cyclovir.
We have a wonderful, wonderful living example that you don't need those things. And in fact, if you stop managing the land, nature will show the magic that she's capable of. And another thank you to Ray Cooper for putting us in contact with this person. I will be on with Randall Plunkett tomorrow. Everyone, I encourage you to tune in. Jack, I encourage you to tune in too and chime in. It's going to be fascinating.
Chime in the comments.
Anyway,
Look at the smile. Look at that. Look at his face. Wait, where is it? Look at his face. Look at that. Look at that face. Like, yeah, Jeff, we want you in the comments where I can run the show and not have to deal with you. I get it. See our little relationship here?
Call in and I'll just do this throughout the show.
See, now who wants control of the microphone and the camera? Well, the guy running the show, to be fair, and you set it up. So
I did.
We'll see. I mean, my challenge with watching it, I mean, I certainly want to support both you guys. Obviously, we have everything in common, but there will be times when I'm like, Jesus, let me get a word in here about invasives and give another point of view. And I don't know where Randall is on that. My guess is he's somewhere in between us on the spectrum. Meaning I don't want to label anything invasive, even if I don't want something somewhere, I still won't use that. Or the other one is noxious weeds. He's heard that too. What is the fucking noxious weed? That's just an even more exclamatory, hyperbolic term of I don't like that thing. Weed is the mildest, invasive is next, and then noxious. How about toxic weed? Why not? Demonize it. Teach people to hate plants in nature. Innocent plants that are just trying to do their thing.
Overboard. Because
no, it needs to be gone overboard.
The plants are toxic. Like now you're making it sound as if
there's no such thing as a toxic plant. No such thing.
We're done.
This is, hey, wait, push me over. Do the screen thing.
read an Honest Doubter, and then I'm hanging up on you.
Well, do I get to respond? Because I won't read it if you're going to. A neighbor wanted to use mosquito abatement service from county. I looked into what they spray. It's 95% petroleum tar carcinogens. So we all agree on that. Thank you, Honest Doubter. Jeez. Yeah, poison the bad creatures. Rather than how about remove the standing water so you don't attract mosquitoes if you don't want them? And not to mention, aren't mosquitoes bird food, Skyler? Aren't they insects that feed bird populations?
Jack, in the Urban Sprawl documentary that I will never, ever get around to making, they would go out and they would rip apart dams. Placer Mosquito is a government-funded service, and they'd go out because you don't want it to possibly cause mosquitoes to form. I'm like, that's exactly what dams are meant to do.
Meaning turning streams into large bodies of still water that breed mosquitoes.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't turn the whole stream, like a small pocket forms. But here's the real kicker. All over the city, because of their fucking water waste and their dipshit,
here we go,
unskilled, overfunded landscaping that runs 24/7, and the water just floods into the streets immediately off of the plants that it's supposed to be watering, there is still water everywhere attracting insects. And it's because of what the people in charge are doing. And instead of fixing that problem, they're out looking for things that nature's doing wrong. Anyway, that's a show. That's a film in itself.
And speaking of a show, I do want to bring on, I think you gave me kind of an initial approval. We do usually confer with each other about bringing on a woman who goes on the Instagram handle of The Owl, THEE, The Owl Queen, who is knowledgeable. She's a good amateur photographer. I think she's okay with being described that way, of the barred owl. And she's in Ontario, Canada. And yeah, she's really wonderful. She loves them very much. And she's been working with other activists on the BOMS, the the barred owl management strategy, which I call the barred owl massacre strategy.
And you made some
massacre, mass slaughter, excuse me. Anyway, yeah, I mean, she can come on. I'm not sure whether we want to, we'll talk, but it's a great show about invasive owls, which are, I think you agree with me on this one, right, Skyler, that a barred owl is not an invader that needs to be exterminated or near exterminated to save the good little spotted owl. That's a whole other invasion biology story.
Here's where I think you and I can at least agree. There are cases where humans had some idea of bringing something over and introducing it. And then there's animals that are adapting because we're taking away what they have and they're looking for another place to live. That is not the type of invasion as bringing over something that you want to cultivate and the land isn't ready for it because you just dropped a newcomer on top of a sensitive working system. And that newcomer has, for whatever reason, the ability to go and just take over that. Yeah. Very different. Humans just drop something on an area and animals or other wildlife trying to adapt to us taking away the system that was previously working. I mean, of course, owls are looking for a new place to live.
Well, we destroyed their habitat in eastern forests, so they went north into the boreal forests of Canada, and then went west, and then dropped down into Washington State, Oregon, and California. They did this whole up and over migration over decades. And I mean, again, where I don't, it's interesting for audience. So you and I have some friction, but if someone said, Jack, would you trust Skyler to rewild Point Reyes? I just absolutely 100%. No, I trust him, because you're not going to kill nature and you want it to be a place for wild animals. So sometimes our methods or our labels will be different, but we both don't want to kill, and we both want wild places, wild land that's not worked or resources are extracted from.
I mean, you just hinted at the key factor there. The goal. What is the goal of ranchers? Their business. My goal
to take wild land. I'm sorry.
My nature is to benefit. My goal is to benefit nature. That is where my joy comes from, is to see everything come back because you're helping it heal. Ranchers' goal is to make money.
Yeah, exactly. And those are diametrically opposed, despite people saying, "Oh, you can do both if you do it properly." Not with animals. It's as you said, the most inefficient way to raise food for human consumption is to push it through giant mammals. That just doesn't work on the scale that we're doing it now for 8 billion humans on the planet. That's the problem. It's not scalable. And that's when they say we want to go back to small farming. You can't for 8 billion people. That's why industrial farming, also, driven by profit and industrialization, but that's how you feed that many people. You need to increase the efficiencies. So it's not everybody gets 10 cows in their backyard. There's not enough land for that anymore.
Hello, Phoenix. Okay, yes, better late than never. I do hope you'll go back and replay, and I hope you tune in tomorrow. And Ray Cooper's got a few more comments here.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. Skyler's done the footwork to get Randall, as have you, Ray. Hopefully they will do a series. Well, Randall seemed, if I may, if a Lord can be hot to trot, he said, yeah, I'll come back. And he, I think, enjoys our company and your company. I believe Randall leans a bit towards Jack as far as invasives. They have a huge rhododendron problem in Ireland, which is a whole other topic. And where is he on that, Ray? Is he? So, I mean,
here's a massive difference. Here's a massive difference that I can't wait to dive into. When he started, what the Irish there we're referring to as weeds were actually native plants that is supposed to have been there and were fought back for the sake of agriculture.
Mhm.
It's different than here, where what I would be fighting back are the plants that Europeans brought from Europe. They're not what was already here. Like they would be the equivalent of me going out and chopping down coyote brush for agriculture. And now we're like, oh, I'm going to
which they do.
And
they've done that.
Which they do. But I mean, you can at least appreciate that what they were killing was a plant that was supposed to be there.
Again, yes. I mean, when it comes down to specifics, Skyler, you and I are going to agree. When it comes down to the labels, which are generalized terms, it's the trick of language. Then it gets a little trickier. Honest Adder says, you guys are just anti-moonscape. Make bare ground great again. And you know what? The moon is a great place. And I think Elon Musk should get there as soon as possible and enjoy it and build something there. It's wonderful. As long as it's his own money, not fleeced from the public. And I don't know what that smaller amount would be. So I think we're wrapping up as of 20 minutes ago, right?
Yep.
So tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Skyler's here with Randall Plunkett, Lord Dunsany of Ireland. I will be a very well-behaved viewer, I guess, and maybe if I have something really nice, they'll let me use my voice briefly, and then I'll be slapped down for being too disruptive. And if people want to check out a blog I wrote about the parade, go to treespiritproject.com blog. If you've seen this recording, you can see it again on my podcast page, and of course also on Skyler's Watching Human page, where we're streaming from right now. Thanks everyone for being here. Happy 4th of July and summer and all that. We'll see you next Tuesday here, 10 o'clock.
Bye, everybody.